Hey everybody, Vicky Fitch here, your direct sales expert, coming to you live from sunny Southern California. Sorry, it's windy and dry. Excuse me. What a fitting way to start a broadcast. Hold on a second. If any of you guys been around a while, you know that is not the first time that has happened. But of course, it's the most inconvenient thing that can happen to you while you're on a live stream. Except, of course, when I dumped the hot cup of coffee on myself. That was really brutal. So, if you guys are new to the broadcast, please drop your name in the chat and say hey. If you guys are part of my regular Perry peeps, my Facebook fans, my YouTube followers, please feel free to share this out because we like to share. I just got myself out of Facebook timeout recently because of talking about my views and my opinions. And I promise today's is going to be a good one. Now, tomorrow, we're prepping the show by letting you guys letting you guys know that tomorrow is National Girls and Women in Sports Day. So we got a lot to talk about there. We got to talk about where it came from and maybe what's happening in the news right now and how that's relevant and how it's frustrating and irritating to a lot of people. What's going on with the situation. So again, drop your name in the chat. Thanks for being here. I appreciate you guys. We are live streaming on 5 different platforms today. And we do have, like I said, we've experienced I was in purgatory. I was in purgatory for a while. Put a 1 in the chat box if you know about my purgatory. Yes, when you have a position or a point of view that is loud or maybe getting a lot of conversation. Hey, Kath, welcome. A lot of conversation. Sometimes people don't necessarily want you to be heard. So anyway, so the fact is that tomorrow, like I said, is a National Girls and Women's in Sports Day. So I wanted to read to you really quick where that came from. Because, as a female athlete myself, celebrating where we came from, celebrating that we, accomplishments in sports, those were really important things. I mean, I did track and field in school. I did volleyball, basketball, softball. I loved playing sports. I even played football when I was in the younger grades, not while I was in high school. But the fact is that it's kind of fun, and we all do develop I don't know. What do we want to call it? I don't want to say it's your reputation. I don't want to say it's who you are, but we do get some self-satisfaction out of being good about something, being good at something. If you're a good singer or you're a good athlete or you're good at crafts or pool, like playing pool or swimming or whatever it is, that those things all help build our confidence and our self-esteem. And so it's important that those things are recognized. And I'm just going to read this so I don't screw it up because and from Wikipedia, right? The National Girls and Women in Sports Day is an annual day of observance held during the first week of February to acknowledge the accomplishments of female athletes, recognize the influence of sports participation for women and girls, and to honor the progress and continuing struggle for equality for women in sports. Okay, so if you are a woman that played sports, you might understand this. Trying to compete against guys, it doesn't mean that we're not capable. That doesn't mean we don't have any physical strength, but typically girls don't have as much physical strength as boys, right? Put a 2 in the chat box if you agree. It's one of those things. It doesn't mean it's not good or bad. It just is what it is. Physiologically, we don't have the same body type and style as a man does. And that's like I said, that's not an insult to us. It's not an insult to them. It's just a fact of life. It's just the way nature made us. So I want to make sure I don't start coughing again on you guys. So it's a huge accomplishment, and establishing that as women in sports, that now we get to compete against ourselves. We don't have to compete against boys. It just opened up a whole new area. Now, and again, remember, if you are, if you're in this political controversy right now, I'm not making a judgment one way or the other about whether or not people should be able to play sports. I think anybody should. And you probably know where I'm going with this. We're going to talk about the transgenders that are taking over state titles for competing in women's sports. Now, as far as I know, and somebody feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, there are no women that are transgender that are are transitioning to be a male that are trying to compete in the male sports. It's only males that are transitioning to women that are competing in women's sports. And from my research this week, I believe there's more than 12 state titles that are now held by transgender men that were previously held by women. And there's kind of an up in arms. There's some lawsuits that have been filed. There's different stuff going on because there's girls that have been working their whole lives, just like boys. Like a lot of times parents will raise their kids and they keep them in sports. And my boys were in sports their whole lives. And they're excited. They want to do basketball or they want to do this or they want to do that. But then there's those exceptional few that want to go on to the Olympics or be professional athletes. And that those years in high school and then into college are really amazing time for people to notice who you are, right? They notice you for scholarships. They notice you for your achievements and the things that you're doing. So when we start altering the playing field and allowing hey Bitcoin, welcome. Yeah, so unfair towards the women to have men compete against them. I agree, JC, because it's not right. Now, somebody, whoever out there thinks that, wants to call me names or whatever, I have no problem if you want to change your sex, if you're transgender, that's your business. It has nothing to do with me. But we're talking about what's fair. Now, I don't have a problem if they want to create a transgender category. I don't have a problem with that. I think then in and of itself might have some problems because the males transitioning to female and the females transitioning to male probably don't want to compete with each other, just like, like what they're experiencing now. So they may need to create two additional categories. I don't know. But then you get into not cisgender, excuse me, the fluid gender. How do you put in fluid gender? I don't know what you do with that. I really don't. And that's not, I guess, my topic for today. Someone needs to come up with figuring that part out if they want to have compete other than your biological anatomy. If you want to compete, then there has to be some new categories because I think most people in general are trying to keep things fair. I mean, most, not all. I mean, I've seen some articles that absolutely made it seem, and I don't know if it's true or not, so I'm not making any judgments. Francis said they should have their own separate category. There you go. And again, if you guys are new to the broadcast, still please drop your name in the chat. Maybe this conversation makes you uncomfortable and you don't want anybody to know you were watching. Hey, I totally get it. But if you have enough courage to, just get involved in the conversation, you don't have to say things one way or the other. But if you have enough courage, we'd love for you to get involved in the conversation because that's the problem is that people won't speak about it unless they're angry about it. And when people are angry about it, they have the emotion behind them. And so then it turns into this instead of a conversation. And that's what we're trying to do here is have a conversation, still bringing out what's fair and what's not fair and trying to figure out a solution because I always believe people should be problem solvers, not just problem identifiers. And so when people want to compete, they want to compete on fair ground. Now in basketball, I'm 6 foot tall. A 5 foot girl is going to have much harder time competing in basketball if we're talking about something that has to do with height. But there are a couple basketball players, right? I believe Muggsy was one of them. He was like 5'2" and he was in the NBA. He was quick, he was fast, he could dodge around people, and he had a great shot from what I remember. And he stole the ball a lot because he was so much lower to the ground. So there are some things that each person is going to have an advantage over. But that's why they identified genders because male and female were made a little bit differently. And then the compatibility part, allowed people to compete against each other and work harder at something and move up the ranks. You can't make a person maybe that's 5'2", they might not make the best high jumper or something like that. But we don't change the rules and say for a shorter person we're going to lower the bar. We can't change the rules every time we want to accommodate someone. And I get this is different and it's got a lot more energy behind it and there's a lot more emotion for transgender people. So again, not judging the transgender community or people, but saying but are you really trying to take advantage of the system? I saw an article the other day that listed out the information. I have a few pictures here. They're not the I was looking for the really good ones that showed like, holy Toledo, that person's competing against that person. And I think a couple of them, will show, and I'm going to pop those on the screen in a minute. So again, if you haven't already hit the share button, please do, because again, this is a conversation that needs to be talked about. It needs to have a conversation. Um, and like I said, I'll share my opinions and you can agree or disagree, and that's okay. But we need to talk about it. We need to talk about it when we're not angry, because I'm not angry, and I hope hopefully you guys aren't angry. If I was the one competing, I might be angry and I might not be able to have this kind of conversation, which is why I'm trying to open up the door. Um, let's see. Francis says if you have charged your beginning gender change, I think you meant change your beginning gender, there needs to be a category. Just don't change the beginning. I'm not sure what that meant because I'm not quite sure. So because I'm not sure if that's supposed to, because what it says is if you have charged your beginning gender, then needs to be a category. Just don't change the beginning. And I don't think that's, I'm thinking it's a typo or auto transition. Let me know what that meant. I think what she meant is if you've changed genders, then you should have to compete against the gender you were born with, but I'm not sure. Kathy says, I could give a care how you dress, what your gender identification is, who you choose to be, but it is simply an FACT fact. Men are generally stronger than women, so no, it should not be allowed, period. This is the kind of nonsense that starts hate. I have to agree with that. It does, because it creates so much emotion. Whatever you do with your plumbing, when out and about, you do you, boo, but stay in your lane, literally. Okay, so I personally agree with that. And again, I understand how it might be difficult. There was a young man, and I have the article open here. Let me see if I can find it. Um, that talked about the way that he had competed in the men's, for multiple years. There's a cyclist who just set the women's world record who wouldn't have qualified for the men's championship, but it was a transgender. Let's see. I'm looking for the one. There's a New Zealand body weightlifter that I have a picture of that I'll show you. Transgender sprinters finished first and second at Connecticut Girls Indoor Track Championships, and just super discouraging for those young ladies. And it's just like I said, it's kind of running rampant on more and more places are allowing this stuff to happen, and it's like I said, and the girls are getting they're getting discouraged because they're trying so hard, and then yeah, this one's a little bit that one's a little bit better. I'll try and show that one. But let me come over here and give you a couple of pictures. I know my voice goes away because it won't. I know there's a way for me to be able to share with myself on the screen. I'm going to try this again and see if I can get it to work. Let's see. Some screens let you share the audio. I don't want to share the audio. So let's see. No, that's not what I want to do either. All right, I'm going to just be off screen for a second because I want to show you guys this picture. So I'm just going to pop it up, and I'm sure if one of you guys can remember how I'm supposed to do this, um, maybe my voice, yeah, I think it kicks me out. Let's see. I have to kick myself out. Okay, so this is a transgender male. I don't know if I even say those right because I think transgender male means a female that's transitioning into a male. If I'm wrong about how that goes, this is a male that's transitioning to a female in a soccer game, and this is women's the USA, and I think, well, they're saying soccer, but it's actually a football. So I think this was, I mean, what we in America call a football. Hey, Lucia, welcome. What we call football. So I think it was Australia, New Zealand, somewhere where they call football soccer. I don't know if that makes sense, but let me show you the picture. Okay, so hopefully you got to see that for a second and can see. I mean, I can open it up on the other screen to leave it up longer, but I'm just going to flash a couple other pictures and then we'll talk about them really quick. Okay. So, again, I'm sorry for the way that's happening. I should be able to pull that in the pictures that I have in here versus having to go out. But I'll work that out. But anyway, so you can see the size of some of those people in comparison, and you can see the male physique. And I say that because some of them have very chiseled muscles and have, even if they're transitioning and putting more estrogen in, it's still there. I mean, it's still the way the body is built. So let me read your comments really quick. Francis says give them a separate category and that should make them happy. It cannot be changed from the old ways. Right. I'm going to have to agree with you. Like I said, it's not fair. But again, I see a problem with that too, because there's not enough. They say there's not enough people to compete. Well, there wasn't in women either at first. Women had to be coaxed. It had to be opened up. Just like cheerleading started with no people. I was watching an article on that from, I think it was Charlie Kirk, how they've created an entire industry out of cheerleading way back in the day. And so it's going to happen that you won't have that many people. But then you can just be start of the movement or start of the change. But then, well, how are we going to have trans males competing with trans females? They say no, and I say, well, isn't that kind of already what's happening right now? So anyway, there's a lot to be talked about there. Kathy says, by the way, I have friends of all walks, no judgment here, but facts are facts. I have friends that are the same way. Like I said, I don't judge. I will cheer you on if you are, running in a race. But if you're running in a female race when you're male, I'm gonna cheer inside for you, but I don't feel like it's right. I feel like you're taking advantage, even though technically you aren't. And that doesn't mean I'm judging you as a person. It means I'm struggling. I'm struggling with it. And I think we should struggle with things that we know that they're not actually fair. Fairness is something that we want as a way of life. We want things to be fair so we feel like we have a chance and we have a voice, and that's what America is about. Let's see. Francis said, I mean, if you change your gender, then play in that lane, but don't change the way women's has always been or men's has always been. Gotcha. Debbie says, if hormone therapy is not being administered, I feel transgender athletes need to participate in their birth gender, or there needs to make a third classification for athletes. Okay. So Debbie, I'm going to call you out and for a little bit of a conversation here, because I guess because maybe I've been doing this research even when they were going through the therapy, because I know the Olympics, I don't know if you guys know this, but the Olympics does allow transgenders to compete in the Olympics, but they have a threshold of where the where their testosterone levels can be, and a couple other things. But they've been doing some additional studies saying body physique, just the way the body is designed, also gives an advantage. And so, there's some struggles with people going through that kind of stuff too. So back to you, Debbie, for a minute. If you have, if they have started therapy, is it, even though the physique is different, do they get that? Do they still get that? Even though their body, like I said, their body is chiseled and refined. I'm gonna find this other picture. Maybe I can pull it up as part of, I think I have one. Okay, well, I can pull this up as a screenshot and kind of just share the screen. I think, can I still be on there? I think I can still be on when I do this. Let me go over here. That's not it. I'm trying to look at, sorry, that's not the right one. I'm looking for the right. I have all these articles open and I'm trying to find the right one. Let's see, pictures of athletes that won. I pulled up some stuff about pictures of athletes that won. And I think you guys should be seeing that. And I think you can see me too. Yeah. Okay. You can only see me on half. So, oh, wait, you're seeing another screen on top of me. I'm looking over at my other thing and I see it's not putting it in the block. Why is that? I'm not sure. Okay. So that isn't working so well, guys. Let me go back to here. I don't know why that's not working. Hey, Greg, welcome to the broadcast. So anyway, some chiseled peeps. even ones that are in their transition period. So, guys, for if you're just joining us, we are talking about tomorrow, which is Girls and Women in Sports Day, and how we can celebrate it or talk about it in a constructive way tomorrow, because there's a lot of controversy about transgenders taking over in the female sports arena, and people are really angry about it. So, we're opening this conversation so we can talk without fighting. That, because, one way or the other, we don't have to be angry at each other. We can have a conversation. Now, like I said, we can still have an opinion. I don't have a problem with transgender people. I do feel that there's an unfair advantage for males transitioning to females to compete with females in sports, and it's taking a lot of girls' athlete scholarships away, and those things are just really. It's just really sad. Kathy said it's ridiculous, just the size difference alone. That one picture, are you talking about the one in football/soccer? Francis says it's like baseball. It's based on age for which you play. You can't put an all-star in with a Pee Wee league. That's a great point. Hey, Durham, welcome to the broadcast. That's a really good point. And that's kind of what's happening. People are getting dwarfed in even not always necessarily size of height wise, but muscles. I mean, if you guys saw the weightlifter, not that there aren't some women that have big muscles, but they usually don't have that size physique to hold it up. So women are, if they're going to be muscular, their body structure is still smaller and doesn't have the I don't know, is it the support system? I'm not sure. But to hold up some of the weights that are there. Hey Greg, welcome to the broadcast. Kathy says hormone therapy do not change how you are born. Absolutely. I think she's talking about testosterone levels, which, obviously testosterone gives males an advantage with strength and speed and that kind of stuff. Stacy Lynn says it's always interesting to hear your perspective on these issues. Thanks, Stacy. Debbie says I haven't researched it at all, but yes, I can see the issues may arise with physical sizes. I would definitely need hormone level testing to determine an appropriate amount of testosterone still in their system. To me, at least just I'm sure would show they're legit trying to be female. If that's the case, tough topic for sure. And Debbie makes a really good point. One of the articles I read again paints the picture, whether it's true or false I don't know, but paints the picture that this boy has he's tried in, I think it was the kid in track, he's tried for 4 years and he's always coming like 300th, and then he transitioned to a girl and now he's first. It's kind of like, wait a minute. Now, is he really going through therapy, or did he just decide because maybe he always felt feminine and maybe he wanted to do that transition but hasn't actually gone through a transition? But is that really fair to the girls that all of a sudden now that a transgender, a male, that a physically born male has now taken over and set the world record? So now women are trying to compete with stats of men, because doesn't that put us back? Does that put us back to where we were before, when women and men were competing against each other and not succeeding in getting anywhere? Francis says it's not about hormone issues. It's about if you are born male with male muscles, no matter how much you have changed your hormones. Okay, thanks, Francis. Debbie says my daughter has been a soccer athlete since she was 8 years old. She's now 17. It would be very frustrating if she was pushed out because of this issue. Yeah, and that's kind of where we're at. Is like, wow, you know, there's enough when a new kid, for instance, comes into a school and might be bigger or stronger. Like I know my son moved schools because we had actually started our own school during his junior year, and he went to a public school for his senior year. And here comes now, I don't know if he was 6'6" at the time. I think he was still 6'4" while he was in school. But here comes the new kid, and he was a starter on the team. Is legit. He is a boy, and he was part of that school district, and he did move in. But of course, that creates some difficulty. But it's still truth, right? But now, if a male came in to the school that was 6'6" and that had been born a male but was transitioning to female and now took over a spot on the girls team when these girls have been playing together all the time or whatever, looking for that scholarship, things get really, really difficult. They start to, because then people are not dealing with just frustrated that a new kid came to town, but maybe I can like him. But wait a minute. You were on the boys team last year and now you're on the girls team. And now what? That's frustrating. Hey, Oz, welcome to the broadcast. Appreciate you being here. And again, if you guys are my regular Perry peeps, my Facebook fans, hit the share button. I just got out of purgatory with Facebook, and so we're trying to because no, I'm being very muted by the algorithm. So if you guys would please do that and make sure you have your notifications turned on as well. Even though most of the people that have their notifications on are saying they're not getting the notifications, at least know that typically at 6 p.m. Pacific, I'm right here to talk to you. Let's see. At least they are trying, right, Debbie? Okay. Stacy Lynn said, check out sexchangeregret.com for sure for some good info. Great, Stacy. Thank you. Francis says it's not fair to the girls, just not fair. Women have fought for our rights, and now they want to change the rules. No, I can't agree with these new ways. Like I said, I'm with you on that. I'm okay if they want to start their own league. I'm okay if if we have because some people say, well, it's too expensive and it's ridiculous to add on a third league. Well, sure. The guys probably said that about women's sports too. It's too expensive. We don't need to do that. So I'm personally don't need to pigeonhole anyone for a cost analysis. I mean, I could go on to some cost issues that are kind of irritating me that we're going to go on to later on this week, maybe next, talking about this. And I am going to say this because I think we here in the country, and I promise I'll get right back to our topic, but I want a precursor for you guys to know where we're going. I think we have a better place to put our funds right now in America than renaming thousands of schools, right? And in California alone, I can't remember how many schools it was, 67 or something, but it's millions of dollars they intend to spend of taxpayer money to rename schools. Abraham Lincoln, they're getting rid of. They're getting rid of Washington, George Washington. They're getting, I mean, I can't even, again, I won't go into all the details now, but just to, as a precursor to, so we can start to marinate on this a little bit, that they want to get rid of in the committee, they want to get rid of Abraham Lincoln because he wasn't like part of like the Black Lives Matter movement. And I can't remember the way they put it, but I was like, the man literally took his own country to war with itself to make sure the black people were respected enough to not be slaves anymore. So the gibberish involved there was mind-boggling to me. But even if he was a bad guy, I think we don't need to worry about that this minute. I think we have other things to worry about. And then I think we put it to committee. I think we talk about people and we let our politicians, we speak to them, tell them what we want, and then we can look at making transitions. But the ludicrous way that we're spending money these days, for absolutely no reason to do it right now, right now. And like I said, doesn't mean it couldn't be done later, but we have bigger fish to fry right now. People are struggling and hurting. People are about to get evicted as soon as this moratorium's lifted, and we really need to pay attention. So as we circle back, if you guys know what I'm laughing about there, about the article I shared out earlier about the circle back queen. If we circle back though around to what this conversation is, I don't have a problem when this gets decided to, if we decide to add on a third category, but we need to work out the details first, right? We can already see the problems. That the problems are that now if we make a transgender category, are males and females doing it? Are we actually creating two new categories? Those things have to be discussed and decided. And once they're decided, then you can move forward. But and again, touching base on another thing, trying to be diplomatic, but recognizing, that the country is challenged right now. Do we really need to put an executive order together? And this, like I said, it's a future conversation, but do we really need an executive order on day 2 of a presidency to, to make this transgender thing happen? It just seems like it's really not building unity. And I think that's why we, as even people that are getting blocked on and being squelched on some of the social media platforms, need to still step up, stand out, and speak. And we need to have a conversation, because if everybody's going to just roll over us with a steamroller because we won't step up, we at least got to raise our hands and say, hey, you know what? I'm objecting to the way things are going. Doesn't mean that we can't work on it and make it right. But it just seems like we have better things to do, like today, not maybe in 3 weeks or a month, but today, like today. like, can we do things that are creating some unity? And so that's why I wanted to address this issue, because we know, I'm sure there's going to be some articles coming out tomorrow. I mean, it is National Girls and Women's in Sports Day. So I wanted to do it today so you're ready for tomorrow and you're ready to deliver your opinion without attacking other people, because we should be able to deliver our opinions without attacking people. That there are a very immature group of people, and it doesn't matter if they're Democrats or Republicans or leftists or righties, it doesn't matter. But there's a group, whether it's sprinkled all amongst them, that's very immature with their responses and their answers, and I want to help you guys become be more mature with your answers so we can deliver the content. It doesn't matter, it doesn't mean we accept unacceptable behavior from people. We need to, like I said, stop being silent. The fact that we under our breath muddle and get frustrated and send information different places, we need to be able to say what we want to say. But I will be honest, some of you guys know my Patriot group, that we are talking about how in this new frontier we have to deliver information to make sure that it's less likely to be removed or blocked or suppressed. And so I want to keep you guys to keep that in mind, because it's like, I don't know if any of you guys put a 3 in the chat box if any of you guys like history, right? I like history. I wouldn't call myself a history buff at all, but I do like history. And I always thought, it was really cool that the US was a little bit of a rebel, right? That we had this little rebellious spirit, that the English, when we went to war with the English, the English were very proper. There was a gentleman's way to fight, there was a gentleman's way to do things. And the English army was so much bigger than ours. They had so much more power that we had to get scrappy, right? Put a 4 in the chat box if you know about getting scrappy. Put a 4 there. Um, we had to get scrappy, right? So our guys didn't walk down the middle of the street. They started hiding in the trees, right? They started hiding in the trees and doing this very, like, it was what did they call it? I can't remember the word that they used to describe us. But as these American soldiers, like we had no couth. We were not prim and proper people. We were doing things like jungle gym style, but it worked, right? And I feel like that's kind of what's happening in other things. We, as the conservative voices of America, have to go jungle gym, because the other side's gone jungle gym. They're trying to turn words around, like, to mean new stuff. And like, people say one thing, you're like, wait, yesterday I was allowed to say that. Today I'm not. Wait, now I'm not allowed to say that. And they're using confusing words, which is another one of our topics coming up, is like, what happened? Like, what happened to our vocabulary? We're not allowed to use it anymore. And so people are starting to put in new words in front, like anti this and anti that. And then if you don't agree with the premise behind, not the actual words itself, if you don't agree with the premise, then now you're a racist or you're something. And so people are just going whoop, like the monkeys, right? Hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil. I don't want to speak any evil, but we better start speaking some truth if we want people to hear and listen and not be afraid. We have to be examples to say, hey, wait a minute, we should be able to have this conversation. That it's uncomfortable. People don't want to have it, and if they do have it, they're fighting about it. They're going head to head with court battles and stuff. We're not talking, and so we need to talk, and that's what this show is all about. Step up, stand out, and speak, and remember, stop being silent. Okay, let's see. We missed some things here. Let's go over here. Debbie, thank you so much for sharing. Francis says, amen. I agree. We don't need to rename things. Yeah, because renaming things is really getting crazy for me. Like I'm pretty good with my vocabulary, but vocabulary words are starting to change. And Candace Owens did a really good thing on it. We'll talk about that on that show. I don't remember if that one's tomorrow or next week. Yeah, Debbie says the priorities of late have been ridiculous. I couldn't agree more. I could not agree more. And you guys have probably seen some of my posts that are expressing that, because I think it's ridiculous that if we want unity, we need to do things a little differently to create unity. And so that's why we have to address them in a different way. This country will be unrecognizable in 4 years at this rate. You know what, Debbie? I don't even think it'll take 4 years. I mean, if it keeps going the way it's going right now, within the next 12 months, we're not going to recognize it, and it's going to be really hard to move it back on track. And I'm never going to give up hope. I don't think where it's going right now is going to support us, and I don't think is good for us, but we can always make changes. We have vets on the street and they want to rename schools. That's ridiculous. Yeah, yeah, right. Okay, Francis, what she's saying, there's veterans, people that used to serve in the military that are homeless and hungry, and we're going to spend millions of dollars on renaming schools. That's just childish. This We're not talking about a school that's named for Adolf Hitler or the like, I don't know, something that's praising the Holocaust. Like those are emotionally draining and stuff. But really, Abraham Lincoln, I mean, come on, let's use our funds and start the discussion, start the debates that you guys want to have, and let the people talk. But this what we're doing right now, it's not serving anybody. What it's doing is creating division. Um, Stacy Lynn said, my dad recently died. Oh, Stacy, I'm so sorry. So I would appreciate your prayers. I'm having a hard time. I'll be praying for you. Francis said, someone needs to put a stop to all those executive orders. It's wrong. Well, I can't disagree with that. And I think, I've posted some memes that suggested that you know, we have to be concerned when someone 2 months ago said that ruling by executive fiat, only people that do that is a dictator, and then someone that comes in and does more executive orders than any president in history in that same time frame. I think he's actually done more executive orders than some presidents ever did in their entire tenure. So that's not really unifying, and we certainly need to like step up, stand up, and step up, stand out, and speak about that too, because it's not right. I mean, that's not right, and we can compare what other things have happened and whatever, but this has gone so extreme, and some of them, like I said, they don't even make sense. So we've got to be heard. Let's see. We all need to speak. Yes, be careful about the words we use. We have to be careful about the words we use, that they're not inflammatory, but now we have to be careful about the words that are just normal, that people are now trying to pretend aren't normal. And again, that's one of the shows I heard a thing, and I think I shared it out today, was on I think it was David Knowles, and he was talking about the anti-hunger campaign. And I could be wrong about whose it is, but if you look at if you're subscribed to my Step Up, Stand Out, and Speak articles and stuff on Facebook, and then we also have that website page, you'll get to see some of the stuff. But he was talking about anti-hunger, right? And so he's like, why do we need something called anti-hunger? Like, aren't we all anti-hunger? I mean, is there anybody that says, I'm hoping there's people that are starving? It's just not really a thing. So when we create that, the problem is that they create an agenda behind it, kind of like the BLM situation, how it's not the words that are the problem, it's that agenda that's behind it that's causing people the grief. So anti-hunger, and if you don't agree with whatever's behind that, like, let's say we're going to spend $10 million to create artificial, food or something. I don't know, something that's not even healthy. And you go, wait, I don't want that. And then people go, oh, you're anti-hunger? And it's like, wait, I'm not anti-hunger. People are starting to build vocabulary and words, and they're creating narratives behind them. So we have to keep pushing back and saying, whoa, I'm not playing that game with you. Like, I don't want anybody to be hungry, but I'm not playing this game. The word anti seems to be popped in front of a lot of things lately that are giving people, an opportunity to create drama and try and kind of bully us into things. I'm going to be, many of you guys know that I've been struggling with some issues with some major companies that I feel compelled that I have got to, even though it is going to be a nightmare for me, I have got to come out and do it. And right now, because the court systems have gone wonky and with COVID, but I'm still going to do it because God's pressing it on my heart, and it may cost me an absolute fortune, but I got to do it because there's companies that are literally taking advantage of people in such huge ways. And now with the existing situation that we have, I don't think anyone is going to help. So we at least need to be informed. You at least need to be informed of what's happening, because I got to tell you, I'm amazed because I'm really articulate and very detailed with notes and information. And when people are taking advantage of me, that I know how to stand up for myself and I know how to communicate and convert. people are getting waylaid with it. And so that's again part of the show too. Let me go up here and finish these things. Let's see. Someone needs to put up a stop. Yes. Let's see. Be careful the words we use. Absolutely. We can't go straight out anymore. We got to go rebel again. We do. We can't. The regular delivery method of kind, courteous delivery, straight delivery isn't working because we're getting censored. But again, if you guys are a patriot, I told you guys the other day, if you guys want to be involved in my patriot group, send an email to booking@vickyfitch.com, BOOKING at vickyfitch.com, and just put patriot in the headline. That's all you have to do. And you'll be added to our list so you can be part of our Zoom calls. And to figure out a way to, you know, to work things out. You'll learn a little bit more about it there. Let's see, reimagined, my favorite, right? Right, Debbie? Yes, his number on executive orders like 5 times as many. We got to stand up. We got to say something. It may not change right now, but we can't pretend. The more we pretend that it's okay, the more people then will continue to do it. And so we gotta stop being doormats. We really do. Hi, Shy Blues, welcome to the broadcast. He justified writing so many by saying he wasn't writing new orders, he's fixing bad ones. I know, that was the crack up. I'm not writing new law, I'm not making new law, I'm just correcting bad ones. It's like, well, you do, like, we can go ahead and call it a different word, but when you sign an executive order, you're creating a new law. You're changing the existing law to meet your criteria. That is changing the law. So we can call a tomato a tomato, but we still have to accept what it's actually delivering. Let's see. It's an agenda for us to look left so we don't see what they're really doing. They want us to look in another direction, switch and move and play. You know what, Francis? I can't disagree with that. I just can't. I'm on board. Yeah, I am too, Francis. And is it going to hurt you? It might. It might hurt you the way it's hurt, my pillow. But then guess what? He's been getting so many orders on the back end. I don't know if you guys know that too. Again, this whole silence thing is that now Twitter yesterday not only canceled his personal account, but he made a statement about JD, and then they canceled his MyPillow account as well. So when you say, and he didn't do anything wrong, nothing seditious, nothing trying to get people to attack people, he just claimed that someone at Twitter was not ethical, and there he goes. So now they're not even hiding. People are not even hiding behind pretending that they're not silencing people now. Now they're just doing it and just saying, haha, screw you. What are you going to do about it? And so again, we're going to have to step up, stand out, and speak. We're going to have to speak with our wallets. We're going to have to speak with our voices. And you got to, people have to make a decision on what they really mean, how much they mean what they say about step up, stand out, and speak. If oh, it's going to cost me more money, never mind. That's okay. That's you. You have to pick. But there's going to be a time when you might be part of the cancel culture. I this guy tried to cancel me on Twitter the other day. I don't know about you guys, but the T word has become a cesspool of anger and venom. Right? Yeah, you can buy a MyPillow direct from them, Shy Blue, but you can't find them on social media anywhere because they have totally shut them down. But you should, if you guys aren't paying attention, which when I say paying attention, it's hard to keep track of all this info because it comes in like a fire hose every minute of every day. And so that's why I'm trying to kind of bring in some highlights. We're going to be doing a show on some people that just got canceled. MyPillow, of course, we know about him. A young lady for Sephora canceled her because she's a Christian and she had said something about MAGA and got just booted off the they and then they tried to do what they've tried, these other companies tried to do to me, make me sign a non-disclosure agreement that says I won't tell what they're doing, and I it cost me an extra $10,000 that I have to now go back and sue because I refused to sign a document that was illegal for them to ask me to sign. And I am going to get into this. I'm just trying to find out from my attorney when I can deliver the names because of our court battle, because I'm going to tell you. And this young lady stood up. She's also in the Step Up, Stand Out, and Speak in that group of articles I have there. how she said, they asked me, they said they'll pay me anyway as long as I'll sign this and won't tell people, and I'm not going to do it. Well, that's the same person I want to be. It's going to cost me more money. But for me as a Christian, and you don't have to be a Christian, you don't have to agree with me, but as a Christian, it's not my money anyway, it's God's. He gave me the talent, He gave me the time, He gave me the ideas, He gave me the people, He gave me the clients, He gave me the properties. It's not my money, it's His. And that's what I have to do with it. Now, I may end up making myself homeless because I'm going to fight until I haven't got any money left. But you know what? If I'm going to be homeless, I'm still going to have my dignity intact. I'm still going to have my, I'm still going to have my integrity, because I'd rather be sleeping in a tent underneath a freeway than pretend I'm somebody I'm not, than to not be the person that God made me to be, to not step up, stand out and speak, because I think it's wrong. And I'll be honest, my husband, on one of these, and again, I'm getting a little off topic, but it's still, participatory here, in the conversation of where we're getting, in how we have to talk, and we have to be able to share about what's happening. My husband said, "Honey, why won't you sign that paper? It doesn't really mean anything." And I said, "Wait a minute. It means that I am agreeing to not tell the world that these people are taking advantage of people." And it's funny is because he didn't see it the same way I did. I actually started to cry. And I said, "Honey," I mean, we've been together 28 years, my husband and I. I said, "Honey, you know who I am. I wouldn't be able to look at myself in the mirror knowing that I signed something to shut me up so it didn't cost me more money, that it's illegal for it to cost me anyway. I just have to go to court and hopefully find a judge that actually follows the law." Um, but I said, "You can't ask me to sign that, because that's like giving away my integrity. That's not who I am. And how could I look in this camera and talk to these people and tell them, step up, stand out, and speak, while I am silenced by someone bullying me so I don't give up any more of my money?" And I know it makes me emotional right now. And that, for me, is so wrong. I just won't do it. I won't do it. And like I said, I won't do it. I am stubborn. You're right. I am. But I believe it's the right thing to do, because it's bullying. If we allow people to keep bullying us, to make us silent, to stop us from saying, "Hey, I have a question," or "Hey, that doesn't make sense," or "Hey, wait a minute. That's against the law." There is a law. Right now, it's still intact. I don't know how long it's going to be there. I don't know how many things are going to change. But if we just go, "Well, whatever, the law is changing anyway," then we're not going to have our freedom. And if we don't have our freedom, then our expectations, there are the problems, they're on us. It's our fault if we don't step up, stand out, and speak. And I get many of you don't have the courage. That's not, I don't say that in a way that is belittling to you. It is hard, right? Yeah, some of us are raised right, Shy Blues. It's hard. It's hard when you feel alone. It's hard when you're getting doxxed. It's hard when you're getting canceled. It's hard when people are pressuring you to do things, and it's hard when they attack your wallet. "Hey Jay, welcome." It's hard. It's really hard, and it makes you angry. And that's one of the reasons I haven't done some of the stuff right now, is because I told my husband, "I can't do it when I'm angry, because then I'm not doing it for the right reason, right? I'm doing it because I can. I need to do it for the right reason." And although the right reason is there too, I think you guys get where I'm going. But, you know, chances are really good that I might lose some accounts or clients or whatever. Chances are I'm going to have to help other people, right? There's more to the story than just it is what it is. There's more, and people need help, and we have to join together. So if you have the skill, like for me, I believe, to whom much is given, what much will be required. God is giving me the skill, the time, the talent, the money. He's saying, "This is what I want you to do." And I either can say, "Yes, Lord," or, take up your cross and come after me. "Never mind, Lord, I'm going to stay over here with my cash." That's not what I'm supposed to do as a Christian. So I look for you guys as prayer warriors. Some of you guys are sponsoring the Step Up, Stand Out, and Speak process. If you guys want to contribute, you're certainly welcome to. But just kind of keeping you in the loop of what's going there. I'm going to read your comments really quick, and then I'm going to wrap this whole thing up into a pretty bow, and we will end it. But I promise there's going to be some intense stuff. So if you haven't hit the share button yet, share it. If you're not following me, if you don't have the notifications on, get those notifications on, and make sure you're on my newsletter list, because you won't know about some of the things that are happening if you're not on my newsletter list. So go to VickiFitch.com and you can sign up at any of those places there. Let's see. Shirley says she's on board with me. Thank you so much, Shirley. You're welcome, Shy Blues. If they take my biz out, it's okay. God will move me forward anyway. I already left Twitter. Yeah, I can hardly stand being on Twitter. Like I said, I feel like it's a cesspool now of getting attacked. Folks start protesting with your money. We have to, Sky Blues. We honestly do. Debbie says, my grandma always said, if it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck, it's a duck. The new administration will call it a cow, right? And so we don't have to say you're a moron if you think that's not a duck. Right now we have to say, well, I think that your cow is dressed up like a duck. I'm gonna, or your duck is dressed up like a cow, whatever. But we're gonna expose the truth while trying to still be kind. God's in control, but He's gonna take care of us anyway. He is, Francis. He's gonna take care of us. And like I said, I may be moving in with some of you guys. I don't know what I'm doing. How sad that we can't have our own thoughts. This is crazy. I agree, Shy Blues. It is crazy. People are allowed to shove things down your throat. And even top politicians were allowed to tell people to do things that are unethical and even illegal, and yet peaceful, peaceful and patriotic things are not seen in the same light. It's like, if I cause billions of dollars of damage and lie about who I am and what I'm doing and loot and steal, that's okay. But this other part's not. I mean, like I said, the world's gone cray cray, and we got to try and bring it back into clarity. If you signed it, it would be like being a Judas, right, Francis? That's exactly what I mean. There's like no way. There's no way I'm doing it. Like I said, yeah, I can't be that either. I'm with you. Thank you, Francis. That was a great analogy, but that's exactly what it was like. It's like, I can't do that. I'm not gonna. Some of us are raised right. Yes. Oh, Matthew, welcome to the broadcast. God's got this. Kim, welcome, girlfriend. Yeah, God does have this. So as we were talking about, we'll wrap this around and finalize. Tomorrow is Girls and Women in Sports Day, and we were talking about what's going on in with the transgender community. We're trying to come up with some solutions to recognize the value of all people, but to not take value away from the people that are working towards, the things that they're doing and the advantages that are created there. And we should be able to step up, stand out, and speak. We should be able to talk about it. We should be able to have an opinion without being doxxed, without being silenced, without people, calling us names and telling people we are bigots or racists, or anybody that knows me knows I am none of those things. I love people, but I also love truth, and I love to share the truth, and we have to recognize truth as truth, because right now, I don't know if you guys saw some of my other posts, but I felt like Dr. Seuss has written the script for what's going on right now, because what's up is down, what's down is up, and things are just not making sense. So in order to make sense of it, we have to bring truth and clarity into it. And we can only do what we can do. We can do the best we can do. And again, if you find value in my topics, please share it out. And please go to VickiFitch.com. Get up on our newsletter list so you know what's happening, what other platforms we're on, where we're at. Because, I mean, if history continues to repeat itself, I don't know how long you'll see me on these platforms, because I do step up, stand out, and speak. And my hashtag stop being silent. We got to stop being silent, guys. If we ever want someone to stand up for us when we're being taken advantage of, we need to start standing up for the things that we see that are being taken advantage of, or the way people are trying to change words, change language to where, it gets confusing. I did share, and I'll sign up for Patriots. Okay, Francis, thank you so much. If you guys have any other questions, I got one more minute. Pop them in the chat there. You guys are an amazing group of people. Again, you guys stick with me here. I know many people are sending me messages. Where have you been? I said, I'm here. You're just not seeing me. Just at 6 o'clock, pop over here. I was in timeout. I got put in Facebook jail, but I'm out, but I don't know for how long. So, I like having you in my corner. I got your back. Thanks, girlfriend. And I have your guys' back too. That's why when you guys bring situations to me that where you're not being treated fairly, I try and help. I try and give you that. And I'm praying about, and if you guys are prayerful people, I've been praying about whether or not God wants me to do that as a business right now, like to actually be an advocate for people because I do have that skill. Um, I got to pray about that. Some other people have offered, to put in some donations and stuff because I obviously do have to pay my bills. So if I were switching tracks, but then, let me know if that's something of interest to you guys. If you guys have some issues maybe that need to be delved into. Um, CPL says, "What happens when trans women win all the women's events?" Yeah, that's the problem we're talking about. CPL is that it's not fair to people right now, and we recognize the value of them and we recognize the value of all people, but it's there is a biological advantage that's disadvantaging biological women, and then that's discrimination in a different way. And we have to, if we want to not discriminate against people, we can't discriminate against people for the way they were born. If we're not going to discriminate for the people that want to change the way they were born, we certainly shouldn't be discriminating for people for the way they were born. Thank you for praying. Thank you, Debbie, saying it's a great show. So what events should they compete in? I think what we were saying is they probably need to have their own events. Now, if it's something like chess, things that have to do with the mind, then I don't think testosterone and those kind of things are, of any advantage. But when you're talking about sports with, physical strength, we showed some pictures earlier of a weightlifter, somebody playing football, which they call it soccer. So I think it was, in the a different country, but different ones, the track meet, the hurdles. I don't remember how many. I don't want to even guess anymore how many transgender people have taken over. Somebody just set a world record, I believe, that was a transgender for the women's, and it far exceeded what there was. So it's kind of like everybody's been inching towards this, and now somebody just came up here, and the women are like, we don't have that physical capability. What about the few intersex athletes? I'm not sure what you mean by that. And what about pairs skating? It's a good question, but again, I don't know if and that's a good one. I'd have to think about that because having as long as one of them has the physical strength to carry the other one, I don't know that one would be, I'd have to think about it. My initial instinct is that's not one that would provide an advantage. But I don't know. I'd have to think about it. I don't know that area well, but that's a good thing to ponder. So thanks for bringing that up. Hey, Coach Dale, welcome to the broadcast. If you guys are not part of my regular tribe, please hit the subscribe button, hit the notifications button, go to VickiFitch.com and get on my newsletter list. I will see you guys here tomorrow at 6 p.m. Pacific. And until then, Debbie says the Special Olympics have their own games as well as the Paralympics. It can all start somewhere. Well, that's a good thing too. And because I know they were saying that there wasn't enough contestants if they started their own, but everything starts small and just keeps moving. But we have to keep things fair for everybody, not just some. And that's what we talked about today, why women's sports started versus, just sports in general, and how we continue to move that forward. So again, thanks for being here, guys. I appreciate each and every one of you. And until next time, I want to remind you to dream it, believe it, and achieve it. Ciao. See you guys later. See you tomorrow, 6 p.m. Pacific. 6 p.m. Pacific.